Hello and welcome back. So I decided with this floor that I was going to make it rock, and then I decided that maybe it would be better to do it in wood because I'm going to be putting a rock fireplace in, and I thought it might get to be too much stone. So I have painted the little hearth piece that I'm going to use, and I painted it at first with the Waverly Mineral chalk paint, but then I decided that it just wasn't quite dark enough, so I went over it with some, I believe it's Pewter Gray by Apple Barrel that I got at Walmart. So let me give you a look now at my beams I'm putting in. I think they turned out pretty well. Better than I thought from the way it was going. So I'm really pleased about the way they turned out. Now what I'm going to use for my floor, and I said I was making this out of just whatever I had, I'm just going to be using cardboard. So I just cut strips from that graham cracker box that I was using, and I'm just going to be putting them down with glue, and yeah, that's going to be it. First, though, I am going to paint the whole thing with black because I'm going to have gaps and spaces. This is a very old floor, and it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to see through the gaps in the floor. And I want something underneath just to in case it does show through, and it's just going to look dark and yeah, look like an old creepy floor, hopefully. This paint job doesn't have to be perfect because, it's only little bits of it are going to show. And it's going to be a thin coat, so it won't take long to dry at all. A little bit more paint. Just a bit. There you go. A little more than a bit, but that'll work. Okay, so I'm expecting that to dry really quickly. I need to go wash my brush, and I'll be right back. Alright, it looks like this side of the black is dry already. Let's start applying our floorboards. And I'm just going to use some tacky glue. You can use whatever type of glue you have, white glue, Mod Podge, anything you want to use. I'm just going to be putting down some tacky glue. And then I'm just going to start laying strips, and my strips are not cut even either. That's okay, I don't need them to be. I'm just going to be applying them and snipping them, and then I will cut the uneven edges off later. I want to stagger my flooring. I don't want it all even. So we're going to use different size pieces, and I'm just going to push it together. Just any excess can be cut off. That's fine. I need a better pair of scissors. I had a pair of scissors that I really like to use to craft with. I've lost them. I don't know where they're at. I have no idea. I'm just going to try to right now line this edge up so it's straight. And try to get my floor as straight as possible. worrying about how my cuts are made, whether they're really straight or they're not. That doesn't matter because it'll all work out fine in the end. And welcome. It is time to start painting the floor. I think it's dry enough, and I'm hoping it is hot in here. I don't have air conditioning in this room. It's hot today. It's going to be 100 degrees again. So I'm going to start by using the chocolate bar. Actually, I think I'm going to start by using, we're going to throw a little bit of burnt umber into the mix also. And that is simply because the chocolate bar is so red. So we're just going to kind of put it on just haphazardly. I don't care if it's completely covered. I just want base colors. Like I said, I'm all about layering. Layering is good, especially when you're going for a certain look. Any of my paint to be too dry, and I think you can see just how red that chocolate bar is. It's very, very red, which can be concerning when you're not expecting it. I mean, you don't, said before, you don't really think of red chocolate, but it'll all work out, I think. Oops, a little pink going on there. Got it too close to the antique parchment. I don't want my paints to dry in between coats. I want them just to kind of mush together. I did not distress the cardboard to make it look like floorboards before I started this. Oh, there we go. Should never have put the antique parchment so close. Let's put some more brown on that. Let's get rid of that. Hopefully when I'm done, it'll just be, everything will be good. A little too much of the chocolate brown, not a problem. We'll put a little of this over the top. We're just going to play with this paint is what we're doing right now. Alright, well I think that's enough of that. Let's get some more of this red chocolate bar on. Okay, now I'm going to take the nutmeg and I'm going to kind of pounce it out of my brush. I don't want a lot of it, but I don't want not enough either. And you'll see right now the lines of my floor aren't even showing. Some of them are, some of them aren't. The paint's a little thick up on that one corner. It won't show because I'm going to be putting shelves in anyway beside my fireplace. So that isn't even going to show. We just want to get this cardboard covered up over here. It's not the look we're going for. And I'm going a little heavier than a dry brush, just a bit. We'll straighten that out in a little while. See there, and I'm getting that white in there too. I've got everything, I got my paint a little too close together, not to worry, not going to be a big deal. Whereas I've light and dark spots, will be fine. So far it's just kind of a brownish looking thing. Now is when, oh, you know what, I didn't put my gray down. I need the gray. Gray is very important. Now we're going to bring a little gray in, and I'm just going to pounce that out because I want that more like a dry brushed effect. And I've got some of the brown in there. Like I said, I don't want these colors to dry much before I put on the next coat. Kind of a dry brush effect. Get a little too much in one spot, that's fine because I will go over it. And this may get 2 coats of each. It's hard to say at this time. We'll just wing it and see what happens. And I know you probably can't, while I'm painting, see that you can see the individual floorboards, but you can. All right, now I'm going to use just the littlest bit of khaki, they call it, and I just got it into the gray, so that's not a good thing. And that one I'm really going to go light with, if I can. If not, we're just going to probably add more paint anyway. Really want to pounce that out of there. And it's the mixing of the colors that really make this floor come to life, so to speak. And I know right now it looks like I got a little heavy-handed, and I did just a bit. Not more than can be managed, but we're going to be going over it again with some different colors. To me, it's all about blending. So I've got my darker colors toward the bottom. Now I'm going to throw in just a tiny, the tiniest bit of the antique parchment, just for some little lighter effects. I guess I took too much off my brush. I don't want too much on either. That will not be good. Right now my floor is a little light, so I'm going to start adding a little more of the nutmeg brown after I get that white pounded out of there. And I've got a little bit of the nutmeg brown. I'm going to put in just a bit of the burnt umber. Let's go over it with that. Still got a little much of the little bit much of the white in there, but as I build up the layers, that'll go away. So I'm going to just go over those lighter parts with the nutmeg brown, just kind of brushing it here and there. Let's bring back some of that brown now that we've got our gunky underfloor created, because some of that is going to show through. I'm going to let it show through. Like I said, I'm not worried that these little parts up on the top aren't really showing the floorboards, simply because I will be putting shelves beside the fireplace. Which has got to have some place to put her stuff. All her potions and spell books and all that other good stuff. Okay. Okay, as you can see now, I'm starting to get more of a floor look to it, which is exactly what I was going for. So I'm going to add a little bit of the burnt umber on top of this. I need a little bit more. Just a bit. That should do it. Okay, so I'm going to put some on it and then I'm just going to pounce it out. Don't want a lot, just enough to bring out some little more brown in our wood. And some of it's darker and some of it's lighter. That is perfectly fine. And again, I am not letting any of this paint dry before applying the next coat. And I know it looks like I'm just using a lot of paint and wasting paint. That is not the case, I assure you, because each color is coming out, whether it's an underneath color or it's a color on top. They're all doing their part to blend together to make this floor just like I want it. And now I am really, really, really faintly brushing on some more gray. Just to give it that fold effect. Don't want a lot, just a bit here and there. And I hear my phone ringing out there. It can only be work. I'll be right back. I'm back. That was work. Someone is going to do the 11 o'clock meds, so I don't have to go in early, which is great because I didn't want to go in early. And now my paint is drying, so the effect may or may not end up being the same. Yeah, not really, because my paint is drying. It's so hot in here. It's drying so fast. Oh, that's too much. So I got a little too much up there. I really don't want that at this stage, so I'm just going to wipe it out, which works fine as long as your paint is still wet. So now we're going to go for just the tiniest bit of khaki. Really tiny bit. We're just going to barely brush the khaki on to the boards. And again, there's a little too much khaki right there, but we'll make it work. Oops, and again. That's okay though, as long as the paint's wet we can wipe it out. So that works. I particularly want to lighten this one spot here simply because it is going to be, I mean, she's doing a lot of walking around, getting her stuff, making her brew, potions. And I can't wait to get to the part where I start making the little potion bottles and all that stuff. And again, a little too much there, but I'm getting that color I want. The last one is going to be a little more of the antique parchment. Barely. We don't really want a lot of white. Just enough to kind of highlight a few things. Not even using it dark. I tell you what, when you're doing this and you want your paint to remain wet, getting a phone call is not the thing, especially when your phone is in the other room. Just going to put those lighter spots on there. All right, this is where we look at the floor and we go, do we need something? How's that looking? Now to me, it looks like a pretty gunky, yucky old floor. I'm pretty happy with it. Although I think there is just a bit too much right in front of the hearth. So I'm going to take just a little bit of sandpaper and I'm just going to sand it down a little bit. Because I don't want a lot of color there. I want it to look old and worn, maybe a little in front of the bookshelves where they're going to be. But in front of the hearth, I really want to sand down my floor. And you can do this. Don't be afraid to do it. Go ahead. You can always repaint if you don't like the way it came out. So I am really liking that. That is really pretty much what I want. And I'm pretty sure the camera probably isn't picking up the full effect like I'm getting here. So yeah, I think we're going to leave that. Maybe, I'm never satisfied, guys, but I'm not going to go on forever either. Maybe just a tiniest bit of nutmeg brown right in here, just to bring a little of brown back. Get a little too much gray, a little too much parchment. So let's get that knocked down a little bit. My paints are drying so quick over here. Add just that tiny bit of brown, light brown, to this mix. And I don't know if the camera will show it, but I can see it here, but I don't know if you'll be able to. Okay, I think we're going to go with that. I think we are. So next I'm going to glue the little hearth piece in. Quite a bit in there because of my cardboard. Once I painted it with those two paints, got really stiff. So I really want to make sure that's going to stick. Let's get that out of the way. I'm so sorry about that. Paint bottles and glue bottles. And there we go. There is our little hearth. All put in. Looks like cement. Look at that. I love the texture on it. So yeah, that's going to be great. Okay then, that's about as far as we can go right now. Everything's got to dry. I need to go clean my brush out. And we will be back when the floor is dry and we will install it. And once again, that's what it's looking like. Old, yucky, mucky. Perfect. Thank you for joining me. I will be back when we put the floor in.